So I was reading something in this book by Bob Goff. Haven't shared anything with you guys from it for a little while. Live in Grace, Walk in Love. I'm almost done with it. It's a 365-day, it's got nice little writings, one per day. And I think I've got about 15 or 20 left. And what he says is that following Jesus costs each of us something different. And I think that's really good. I've been watching The Chosen. And for Matthew, who was a tax collector, it was something completely different than it was for, John, who was a fisherman, or James, who's a fisherman, because Matthew had a lot of money. Matthew had a lot to leave behind. And so for each and every one of us to follow Jesus, it's a relational thing. There's absolute truth, I believe in that, but there's also a lot of subjectivity when it comes to relationship. So I want to share something that was called for in the Old Covenant. I don't know that there's no actual evidence they ever did it. It was called the Year of Jubilee. And every 50 years, they were to celebrate the Year of Jubilee. And what it meant was all debts were to be forgiven. Now you can imagine if that really happened, some people would have really big debts and some people would have really small debts. And some people would try to be borrowing all kinds of stuff or accumulating all kinds of debt, like in the 49th year, which isn't really, I think, how God intended that to go. But obviously God had in mind that if you did this, if you kind of leveled the playing field every 50 years or so, because there's a lot of things that go wrong in this broken world in which we live. God knew that. So he's just like, this way the land can go back to the original owners. And that was a huge thing in the Promised Land, because each tribe, each family, each clan, they all had their own land. But if you had to give it away, then your kids don't have anything. And maybe you were irresponsible, or maybe some tragedy happened. So it was a really good plan, I think. We just don't know if they ever did it. But the reality is that we each owe something different. So when we come to Jesus, and we come and say, hey, Jesus, I'd like to follow you. What does that look like? Well, it looks a little different for each and every one of us, because each and every one of us come from a little bit different background. I'm glad God got a hold of my life when I was 17. When I was 16, I started going on walks, asking God to shine a light out of heaven. I look back now, that's, I guess, kind of unusual for a 16-year-old. Some of you are out there like, that's pretty unusual for anybody, Paul. But that's kind of where I was at when I was 16. But I'm glad he got a hold of my life when I was pretty young. And I look back even before that, I recognize he had his hand on my life. He always had his hand on my life. Do you realize he always has his hand on your life as well? I want to share just a couple of thoughts from Goff. He says that we all start in different places when we come to follow Jesus. And the debts that we have, we all reflect the different lives that we've lived. They're all different, and it's just the way it is. But the cost of discipleship is different from person to person. For some of us, coming to Jesus means, okay, I got to stop being the center of attention. And for some of us, it means now I need the courage to actually find my voice and to speak up and to not be afraid to stand up for Jesus. So what feels like a sacrifice to you might come totally naturally to another person. So we're just all facing a different kind of battle. And we need to give each other that kind of space and just recognize not everyone has the same experience that we do. But the beautiful news, the good news about the Year of Jubilee, which was really, Jesus really brought the Year of Jubilee when all debts were forgiven. Do you understand that today, that you're off the hook? That's the new covenant, that Jesus died past tense for all sins for all time. And your debt is forgiven. Have you received that? Have you thanked God for it? You can thank Him today. You can receive it today. May this be your Year of Jubilee. God bless you.